Hello guys, welcome to WIX Ideas. In this video, I'm going to show you how to add a like counter into your WIX dynamic page. As you can see from right here, I have this icon that has not been liked, and I'm going to go ahead and click on this icon. And when I do that, you're going to find a message that says please log in to like. And when you click on this text, it's going to open up the WIX login module. So this is going to allow you to log in first before you can actually go ahead and like the content. So I'm going to go ahead and like this content, and then let's take a look at how this is going to play out. So once you're logged in, we can refresh the page again, and then I can go ahead and possibly like the content. So as you can see, this account that I logged in with has already liked this specific content, and that is the reason why the icon has changed. I can go ahead again and remove the like, and as you can see, when I remove the like, the number of likes has reduced. I can go ahead again and like it back, and as you can see, this has been added again. Another fun fact is that I added a page into my account dashboard where you can actually see the content that you have liked. So as you can see, I have liked these 3 contents, and when I click on any of them, let's click on this, you can see that I already have a like here. And when I click to unlike this content and I head back into that same page, you're going to find that the like has been removed. And you can also go ahead and remove the like from right here. So this is Rome, Italy. I'm going to go ahead and click on this icon, and that has removed that content. So let's go back to our tour and look for that exact content, and this is the item, and as you can see, the like has actually been removed. So I'm going to show you how to add this exact feature into your WIX website, and if you're excited to jump into this with me, please do well to smash the subscribe button and also give this video a like. My YouTube analytics tells me that only 10% of viewers have actually subscribed, so I really appreciate if you can go ahead and subscribe to this channel to promote the content of this channel, and you can always view more from this channel. Alright, so let's dive right in. So this is the dynamic page I'm going to be working with, and this dynamic page is connected to my tour content manager, which is right over here. So I'm going to be displaying tourism centers in the world, and I'm also going to add a feature that allows users to go ahead and like the content. So the first thing we want to do is to add this icon, which is the transparent icon, and then the icon that is filled. So I'm going to go ahead and add this icon. So you can click on the add, and then to decorative, and then to icons, and then you can click on more icons. You can search and use multiple icons from here, but I went ahead to download my own icons, and as you can see, we have the like empty and we have the like full. So I'm going to be making use of these 2 icons. So hold on your control or command on Mac to select 2 items, and then we're going to add this to our page. Now once you're done, you can go ahead and resize this to the size that you feel comfortable with. Alright, so I've added the 2 icons, and as you can see right here, they are actually looking almost the same. And the next thing I want to add is the counter, which is this text over here. So I'm going to go ahead and add this text. So let's duplicate this text element, and I'm going to go ahead and remove the connection it has with the database, because we're not trying to connect these items to data. We're just going to do everything within the code. So you can go ahead and change what is written in it. For me, I'm going to have my initial text to say 0, and that is what is going to show when the page loads, and then it's going to show the actual number of likes that has been added for that specific content. Alright, so now this is looking all good, and there is another text that I want to add, and this is the error message or the login message. So I'm going to go ahead again and duplicate this text, and I'm going to add this text over here. And what I'm going to say inside of this text is please log in to like. Now this text is going to be shown when the user is not logged in but is attempting to actually like this content. And now we are done with this design, and for the layout, I'm going to arrange this later on, and I'm going to actually show you what you're going to do at the end. Alright, so the next thing we want to do is to turn on our dev mode. Now once that is turned on, you can see that we have this code panel, and the most important part is the properties panel. So this is where you change the ID of the element, and these are the event handlers that you can actually work with, for example the on click and so on. So what I want to do here is to hide this text by default. So when the page loads, this text is hidden. So to do that, go to your properties panel, which is right over here, and then we're going to click on hidden. Now this will hide the element when the page loads. We also want to hide this icon when the page loads, because we don't want the user to actually see this icon first. We want them to see this icon, and then this can be shown if they've liked it, or this can remain visible if they haven't. So let's hide this element by default. So I'm going to go ahead again and click on hidden. Now once that is done, we can go ahead and drag this closer together, and then we can actually put this just over the second icon, and that is looking all great. And then we can actually bring this closer to the rest of the elements. Now what I want to do in this tutorial is to be able to store the number of likes into a content manager or a database. So I'm going to create a content manager that is going to store all my likes. So to do that, let's head over to databases, which is right over here, and I'm going to go over to this plus sign here and then click on new collection. Now once you do that, you can give your collection a name. For me, I'm going to call it likes. So if you're happy with this, you can go ahead and create. Now once you create, it's going to pop up a new database for you, and as you can see, I have already created this collection before, and I have actually had the two fields that I need. I'm going to go over these fields with you. The first field is called user ID. So this user ID is going to store the ID of the user who is logged in. You can use the same exact keyword that I used, and also for the likes, this is where we're going to store the ID of the content that was liked. So for this one, you can see that it is called likes, and it has a special field called the reference field, and this reference field is referencing the database that holds my dynamic content, and those dynamic content is for the tour. So as you can see, I have selected the reference from here, and you can go ahead and choose the database collection where you want to add your likes to. So for me, it is a tour content manager or database. All right, so once you're done with that, you can go ahead and save. And if you want to know how to add a new field, you can go ahead and click on this plus, and you can give it a name. For example, user ID. Because I already have a field called user ID, it's going to add a 1 in front of it. And you can go over here and change the field type. So for the user ID, it's just a plain text, and for the likes, it is a reference field. All right, so that is how you add a database collection. And the next thing I want to add is a permission that allows only logged in members to be able to save content into this content manager. So let's go over to this icon here and then go to collection settings, and then we're going to go to additional settings. Now as you can see, this permission is for private content. Only admin can access data in this collection, and that is not what we're trying to do. So let's go over to the custom use and then click on set custom permission. So we want anyone to be able to read from here. So let's select anyone. And who can create? We want a site member to be able to create. So only people who are logged in or signed up into our website can actually go ahead and create or add a like. And who can update? We want the person who actually created the like to be able to do that. So that is the site member author. And who can delete? We also want the site member author or the creator of the like to be able to remove or delete the like. So once you're happy with the changes, go ahead and save all changes. Now once you're done, you can go ahead and close up your content manager, and then make sure that you publish your site after creating a new content manager. All right, so we're going to go over to our code. I have left the link in the description below. Please do also check it out, and while you are there, please also make sure to subscribe if you haven't done so. All right, so we have the code here, which are quite a number of lines, and I'm going to go through them with you one at a time. And we have the first ones, which are the libraries that we're going to be making use of. So let's go ahead and copy these libraries or API into our code section. So these, we're going to maximize our code section. To turn on this code section, make sure that your dev mode here is turned on. And once you're done, you can go ahead and delete what is already here, since we're going to be replacing everything with our code. I'm going to place in those libraries that we used. As you can see, we're using the WIX data because we want to be able to save the likes into our database or our content manager. And we're using the WIX users because we want to know if the user is logged in, and we also want to save the ID of the user who liked a content. And next, we're going to go over to our code, and we're going to get the variables. So we'll be working with these variables a number of times inside our code. So let's go ahead and copy these variables. So these variables are going to hold values. For example, the current item is going to be holding the ID or the information of the current item that is being displayed. And for the user variable, it's going to help us hold the current user information, for example the user ID. So let's go back to our code and let's copy the next line of our code. Now this is about the most important part of the code, because this is where the code actually runs. And as you can see, we have a bunch of errors, and this can easily be understood since we haven't copied the rest of the codes. So this is our onReady function, and what it is doing is that it's getting the current item. Okay, as you can see, we are using our dynamic data set, which is the data set that is already here in our dynamic page. As you can see, mine is called dynamic data set. So if you already have a data set in your dynamic page, you're going to get that ID and place it right here. All right, and that information for the current item is saved inside of the current item variable. And then next we have the check like function, which we're going to be getting to in the next step. So the check like function is going to check if the user has actually liked that content. And then we have the count like function, which is going to count the number of likes that the current item actually has. Then we have the login message. The login message is actually this text over here that is displayed if the user is not logged in and they're attempting to actually like the content. So we're going to change this ID with this ID over here. So go ahead and copy this ID from here and then place it right into the properties panel ID of that text element. And this has solved that error, and we have a number of errors we're going to be solving in the next steps. All right, so the next step is to check if user has a like or not. So let's go ahead and copy this code, and we're going to paste that code into our page. So let's paste that into the next line, and as you can see, the check line function has been solved. And what is going on here is just to check if the user has actually liked the content or not. So to check if the user has liked the content, we have a conditional statement that says if the current user is logged in, then we want to go ahead and query our database collection. This here is the ID of our database that we just created, which is the likes database. So let's go over to databases, and here you can see it is called likes. So once you click on this and click on edit settings, you can see the collection ID is called likes. All right, so this is very important. You can just go ahead and replace your ID here. If you used exactly the same IDs as I did, then you don't have to replace anything unless there's an error. All right, and then the next line, we have the field key of the likes field in our database, and the next line we also have the user ID, which is also the field key of the user ID field in our database. So we have two fields, and I'm going to go ahead and show you the field keys of those fields. So here we have the user ID. Once you click on properties, you can see that the field key is user ID. And then for the likes, you can see that the field key is likes. So we're going to copy those two because we're going to be querying them. We're going to be checking to see if the user has liked and to see if the ID has matched that specific item. Okay, so I'm going to show you how that is saved later on when we begin to test this out. And from here you can see we have the current item, and the current item is using the WIX dynamic data set get current item function to actually look up the ID of the specific field. So what we are doing in those two fields in our database, the user ID and the likes field, is that we are actually saving the ID of our current item into that likes field. And then for the user ID, we are saving the user ID into that field. And then we're going to call the find function that is going to look it up and see if there is something. Now, if there is something, we also want to do another thing here. And as you can see, we have liked.show. So this means that the liked icon is going to show, but the not liked icon is going to be hidden. And then else, if they haven't done anything, then we want the not liked icon to show, and we want to hide the liked icon. All right, so these are the IDs of the liked and not liked icon. So let's go ahead and change those real quick. I'm going to drag this down. So the liked icon is this one over here. This is what shows if the item has been liked, and this is what shows if the item has not been liked. So let's go ahead and copy the liked, and then I'm going to go ahead and click on this icon and then go over here and change the ID. Now once you do that and click into your code panel, you can see the error has been removed. And we can also go ahead and copy the ID of not liked, and I'm going to click on this icon which is not liked and then paste in my ID. Now once you do that, you can see that the error has been fixed and removed. Now I'm using a bit of an animation here, which is the fade option, and you can go ahead and use any of the animations that Wix offers. I'm going to leave a link below for you to check out the kind of animations that you can actually use. So as you can see from here, when I click on this and click back in, you can see that that has a nice fade in kind of animation. So this is about the check like function. Now let's move forward to the other sections of the code. Right, so the next part of the code is for when we click on those icons, the liked icon and the not liked icon. So what happens when the user clicks on any of them? For example, when I click on this happens, that other icon is hidden, the number of likes is recounted, and when I click on that again, it's recounted and the other icon is hidden. So this is just the summary of what this section actually does. So I'm going to go ahead and copy the liked icon export function on click. All right, so let's copy that. I'm going to place it into my code. And as you can see, we have a number of errors, which are also functions that we're going to be working with pretty soon. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and go back to my page. And as you can see, this is the liked icon. I'm going to click on that. And I want to add an on-click event onto it. So to add an on-click event, this is where we're going to add it. So click on click and then hit on enter. Once you hit on enter, I'm going to add this line of code. Now the only difference between this and this is that this has an _1. So I'm going to go ahead and copy just that section and then just place it inside of the main one and then get rid of the one I just added. Now once you're done, you can see that that has fixed the problem. And we can also do the same thing for the not liked. We can go ahead and copy its export function, and then we're going to do exactly the same step as we did for the liked. All right, so this is not liked. Let's go ahead and click on the not liked icon, which is over here. And once you're done, you're going to also add an on-click event handle, and then you can go ahead and hit on enter. And we're going to go ahead and copy the _1 and then just replace it here. Now once you're done, you can go ahead and get rid of what you just added, and that should be able to solve the problem. So as you can see, we have a condition here that says if the user is logged in when they clicked on the liked icon, we want to remove the like and we want to recount the likes. And for the not liked, if the user clicked on the not liked, then we want to add a like and then we want to recount the likes. Else, if the user is not logged in, then we want to show the login message. So the not liked icon is this one. If we click on this and we're not logged in, it's going to show that message. All right, so let's move forward to the next step of our code, which is the login message. So we have a function for the login message, and I'm going to add that into my code. And as you can see, there is no error. And that is because we have already changed the ID over here. So what happens when the user actually clicks on the login message? So what happens is that we want to be able to prompt the login for the user. So any login that you have, if you have a custom login or a Velo login or just the regular Wix login, is going to prompt that for your users, and they have to log in or sign up into your website to be able to like. So that is just what this function does. And then the next code is actually a function that adds our like. So we're going to go ahead and copy this line of code, and I'm going to paste it into my website. And as you can see, we have this add like function, which has been solved here. So what this add like function does is that it gets two information. It gets the current item's ID, and it also gets the current user's ID. And then what it's going to do is going to save those fields into our database. So right here is your field key, and right here is your field key for the user ID. All right, so this is going to be the current item, which you have already defined previously at the beginning, as you can see. And then we also have the user, which also has been defined as the Wix user and current user. All right, so this is just what this section does. And then we have these show and hide processes. So this is for not liked will be hidden, and then the liked icon will be shown. So that is just what the add like does. And then we also have another one that removes the ad. So we're going to go ahead and copy that section that actually removes the likes. All right, so let's go back and see what this section does. Now, as you can see, the code is beginning to take its shape, and the errors are beginning to get smaller and smaller. So as you can see, this remove like function, we have a variable over here which is assigned to the WIX data query of our content manager that we created. And again, you can get the ID of that collection from by going onto the settings, and you can get this collection ID. So if you used exactly the same settings that I'm using, then you don't have to change any of this. So this is just going to look into our collection, and it's going to look into those fields for the current ID of the current item that is being displayed, and also the user ID who is logged in. And once it finds that there is something like that that matches its search, then it's going to use the WIX data remove function to remove the like and all the information from the content manager. So that is the technique of the remove function. And we're going to go ahead and check the count likes. So the count likes is going to count the number of likes that we have inside of our content manager. So let's go ahead and paste this right in. Now you can see that this count like was used a couple times in the beginning. And the reason why this happens is that each time the user actually clicks on those buttons, we want to count to see how many items are there. So we will count for just the current item alone. We want to count how many people have saved the current item into the content manager. All right, so that is what this is doing, is using the WIX data query to query our database. And then this is the likes field for the current item, and we're using the count function. And then we're using the .then method to get the total count. And then we have this ID over here, which is a like counter. Is a text element which I have used to display the number of likes. So let's go ahead and click on this, and then we're going to replace this ID real quick. So let's go over here, and I'm going to replace this right here. Now once you're done, you can see that we don't have any errors above, but we only have one error here, which is the format like. So this format like is going to do one thing for us. So let's say that we have 1,000 or 2 million likes for this item. We don't want to put all the 2 million with all the zeros. We want to reduce that to 2M. Okay, so that's just going to be 2 million. And if you have like 1,000 or 10,000, it's just going to be 1K or 10K. So that is just what that function does. I actually use this exact function for my other tutorial for adding view counter into your WIX dynamic page, which you can completely check out in the description below and also in my videos. All right, so let's add this function, and as you can see, that has solved the error here. All right, so if the likes is greater than 999 and the likes is less than 1 million, then we want to return and display whatever value we have in the K format. Okay, and if it is greater than 1 million or it's less than 1 billion, then we want to display them in M's, right, and so on. So this is all the code you need to have. Just make sure that you can use exactly the same IDs that I do, but if you don't, you can follow through this tutorial to see where I have changed the IDs. All right, so let's go ahead and align these icons together, and I want to create a page inside of the members page where I'm going to be showing the user the things that they have liked, the items that they have liked. So let's go over to members pages, and then let us create or add a member page. We're going to go to custom, and we're going to create on a private page. So let's add a private page, and from here you can design this as much as you want. Anyhow you want it to be displayed, you can go ahead and work with this page. All right, so we've created this page, and it's called new private page, and I want to go ahead and rename it to likes. All right, so you can call this anything that you want, and we don't want to hide it from our member menu or our login bar. So let's go ahead and start creating the content that we want to be displayed here. So I already have a repeater. I'm going to go ahead and copy that repeater from my home page, and I want to use that same exact repeater instead. So let's go ahead and copy this repeater, and I'm going to go back to my members page onto the likes, and I'm going to paste in this repeater just right here. All right, so you can align that to your page, and then you can also make sure that you redesign this to look the way you want it to look in a dashboard area. And we're going to add a data set. We're going to go to content manager and data sets, and you can drag this data set right over here and click on settings. Now inside of the settings, we want to connect this to our likes content manager, not the Tor, but we want to connect it to the likes because this is going to be displaying the likes. And most importantly, we need to change the mode from read only to read and write because we want to be able to view what is on it, and we also want to be able to delete the content. All right, so let's connect this repeater to our data set. Now here we can choose the same like data set, and the image is connected to the image source. And as you can notice from right here, let me drag this up a little bit. So you can notice from right here that we have fields and then we have sub fields. And this is the user ID field I created, and then this is the likes field that was connected or is a reference to my Tor content manager. And you can see that these are the fields. These are also the similar field that I have inside of my Tor database. So let's click on this image here. And you can also connect your alt text and your tooltips if you want to. And then we also want to connect this title over here. So let's go to text here and connect this to our title. Now this is going to be displaying the likes to the user who is actually logged in. Now to make sure that that is actually going to happen, we want to go ahead and click on settings again. And we want to go over to filter. Now add filter, and then let's click on field and then look for owner over here. Now once you do that, you're going to say that owner, the condition is logged in, and then add your filter. Now once you're done, it's going to be saved, and then we can go ahead and add an icon that we can use to remove or allow the user to remove the likes. So let's go over to add and then go to decorative and to icons, and we can go over here and look for any icon that represents removing an item or somewhat. All right, so I'm going to go with one of these icons. So let's go with this one, and then we can resize this icon and then place it somewhere, maybe somewhere there. Now let's change the color, and over here I'm going to change the color to red. Now once you're done, you can go ahead and save and publish, and we can begin to test the website to see how the like function actually works. Alright, so this is the list of my content, and let's go with the first option, and we're going to attempt to like these items. So let's click on the item when we like. Now you can see that this actually pops up and says please log in to like, because I haven't logged in, as you can see from here. But when I click on this text, it's going to prompt the WIX login, and I can go ahead and log in with one of my accounts. Alright, so now I'm logged in. I'm going to go ahead and like this item. Once I click on this, you can see that the number has been added and this icon has changed. Now let's go into our database. I'm going to show you how that looks like. So let's go onto our likes collection that we have created, and let me show you how this actually looks like from this side. Now this is my ID of the user that I used to log in, and this is the item that I have liked, which is the matcha Pichu, and as you can see, that is what is here. And when I click onto here, onto the likes, and let's go to that page that I created, you can see that that same item has been added. And I can go ahead and we didn't actually connect this item to data. I'm going to show you how to connect that right now. Let's go back to that same page, and I'm going to show you how to connect that item so that you can use that icon to delete your likes. So let's go to that item here, and we're going to click on this icon, and then we're going to click on connect to data. Link connects to, and you're going to scroll down to until you find the delete. So this is going to use the dataset delete function to delete the item for you. All right, so let's publish that, and we can go ahead and refresh this page. Okay, so now I've refreshed the page, and as you can see, when I click on this, it's going to remove the item. So now when I go back to my page, you can see that the likes has been removed, and if we go back to our content manager, the item has been removed as well. So this is how you add a like counter into your WIX dynamic page. If you enjoyed this tutorial, please do well to subscribe. I really appreciate that, and also make sure to leave a like to this video. If you have any code tutorial that you want me to make, please leave them in the comment section below. So thank you very much, and see you in the next video.